In this video, we're going to be taking a look at R4-D6 for the Build-A-Droid line in the Legacy Collection. So this was one of the very first Build-A-Droid figures that you could complete in the Legacy Collection. It was within the waves of like the Sandstorm Han Solo. I think there was a Luke as well, Yarna. And then there was also the, in a way, a subline of action figures with like the Battle Damaged Darth Vader, the Commander Gree, Kashyyyk Trooper, Evil Trooper. A lot of those action figures contain parts for this droid here. Now, back in 2009, this was one of the very first Build-A-Droid action figures that I actually started on. And for the longest time, all I had was the dome here, the third leg, which were contained in the same set. I forget which action figure it came with. Maybe the Battle Damaged Darth Vader or the Ewok that came with the baby Ewok in the basket there. And then I had the body. All I was missing was the two legs on the side here. And back at that time, I used just the parts I had to accommodate with my Shadow Arc 170 fighter, which I do not have anymore. And additionally, I do not have the original parts that I use for R4-D6. This sample you're looking at here is obviously a completed one, which I got on eBay in a lot for... I probably paid like $10 for this about around 2020, 2021. So about 3 years ago. It's a droid I've always liked, but back around 2014 and 15 when I was selling a few action figures, I thought, why am I going to hold on to this incomplete droid? And also I was selling my Shadow Arc 170 fighter, which now I wish I didn't, but I will reacquire one at some point. So I thought, why am I going to hold on to this incomplete droid? So I went ahead and sold the parts that I had at that time as well. And then it's a droid I've always kind of wanted in my collection, even at the time I was selling the parts, because I'm pretty sure the action figures that contain the two legs here were maybe like the Sandstorm Han Solo and the Sandstorm Luke. Characters like that I wasn't too keen on owning in my collection at the time. And I tried to get on eBay to find the various parts to complete it, and at that time I wasn't having a lot of luck. So that's why it ended up like that. And then fast forward, and I thought, you know, I've always still wanted this droid in my collection, so I'll go ahead and get a completed one, which oftentimes it's easier to get a completed Build-A-Droid than it is to try and hunt down all the parts individually. And that was the case with this. So that's the story behind R4-D6 here. Now, if you don't know anything about this droid, you're probably not alone, because it shows up in only a couple frames in A New Hope, in the Masasi Temple just before the assault on the Death Star. And I think pretty much the few frames we see him in, it's almost like a view like this of him. But it's a very nice droid, very unique astromech droid. Has more of a cone-shaped dome instead of the typical cylinder one or the sphere one. Really like the color scheme on this. He has this dark blue, basically navy blue, and black combination, which is very nice. Even though he's a droid that's associated with the Rebels, I think he fits well with an Imperial display as well. It's this nice silver paint here as well, and nice detailings all around. Pretty consistent all throughout. A little bit of a dark gray on the top here, hexagon. Of course, his eye there, painted in black. Articulation is pretty standard for all the Build-A-Droids. The swivel at the dome, and the swivel shoulders, swivel feet. And nothing in the third leg here, which is not always the case for many of the astromechs. Of course, being a Build-A-Droid, this is pretty easy to take apart, and then if you want the droid standing up, you just take the third leg out there and have him standing up in the upright position here. I think he looks better when he's in the motion there. Of course, it does have the wheels at the bottom here. Then the wire sticking out of the feet. It looks pretty good in that position. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can tell you about R4-D6 here. We'll do a couple comparisons here real quick. Here is with the R2-Q5 I reviewed previously, and the hologram. But personally, I'm a big fan of this Build-A-Droid figure. It's one of my personal favorites that came out in the entirety of the Build-A-Droid line, and of course I have a long history with this since this was one of the first Build-A-Droids that I attempted to complete. And even though I never did with my original, I do have a completed one now, and I'm glad he's a part of my collection. It's a very nice droid. And like I said, it's of all the Build-A-Droid figures, this is probably one of the easier ones to get a hold of, because most of the action figures in his wave are not extremely high in demand, I suppose. And even if you want to get on eBay and find a completed one, you could easily find one in probably like the $5 to $15 range. So not too bad at all. So if you really want this astromech droid for your collection, or you're a fan of astromech droids, this is a great one to get a hold of. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There'll always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out some links in the description if you haven't done so already. As always, thanks for watching.